Hello. Yes, we're in. Evening all. Hello. Yes, we're in. Evening all. Right, boom. Hi guys. Hope you're doing well, wherever you are. I am back with another live stream Q&A. If you're there, thanks for tuning in. Say hi. Papa Bear, hello. How are we doing? Right, cool. Let's get this rolling. So, if some of you may have seen last month, I had Howard on the live stream, which was really good fun personally, and we discussed some really good topics, and there was some great questions asked and answered. I think it was a good one. Um, so hopefully getting Howard back on sometime in the near future, because that went really well, I thought. But I'm back flying solo again this month for my monthly live stream Q&A. So if this is your first time, basically, obviously you can see on my screen I've got an edit. I've got a timeline that I'm just gonna midway through an edit. So I'm gonna mess around with that. But if you want to ask any questions about any aspect of wedding videography, then that's what this time is for. Speaking of, a bride got me, a past bride of mine saw this and thought of me. Any of you have been doing this for a while and have had presents from friends, family, brides, previous clients, you probably, like me, have about half a dozen lens mugs somewhere in your house, or video or camera related mugs and accessories. And Mark has, all right, Mark, how we doing, mate? You can have my autograph. I will sign any body part you like. I've got a Sharpie somewhere, but you have to come and collect it in person. It's the only rub, I'm afraid. Yeah. So we've got 4 viewers. Woohoo! Roll. We're just high flying. Honestly, do you know what? The live streams have been getting more and more populated every time. So one day we might even have more than 10 people on at once. So I feel a bit off centre. There we go. It's bugging me a little bit. Okay, so whilst people join on, I'm gonna just sit and edit. Feel free to watch, and if you have any questions or you want to say hello, let me know you're there and watching, listening. I would love to hear from you. From the guitar. Dan, good evening. How are we doing? Papa Bear, why choose the style of why you choose the style of filming Steadicam, no gimbals moves X? That's a really good question that I could probably talk about for the best part of this hour. The reason I film in the style that I do is born out of so when I first started, I went out second shooting for a friend of mine, YSD Media, Stefan, who's a great videographer based in the northwest of England like me, and he took me along to a lot of weddings, second shooting with him, and I'm forever grateful for the experience. But he shoots with a gimbal, and he likes the movement kind of shots, and so he used to have me working with his gimbal, and I just couldn't get the hang of it. I couldn't focus. I couldn't hold the gimbal and focus the camera at the same time. I was rubbish. I'd probably be better now, but at the time I just couldn't get the hang of it, and I got so frustrated with it. And he was like, none of your shots are in focus. You need to try harder," and in the nicest way possible. And I just got really frustrated and took it out on the gimbal, and I hated it. So I just, rightly or wrongly, I grew to despise this thing and decided never to use it. I was ready to give up. I didn't want to use it, and then I saw the likes of Philip White and Jeff Wood, and who else was there at the time? People like James Ray and Tom Harrington, who are again Northwest, brilliant videographers who were doing the whole kind of monopod, very still, calm kind of wedding films, and I was like, that's the way to go. If I don't have to use a gimbal, and I can still make videos like that, or half as good as that, that's what I'm going to do. So it was purely out of frustration with the gimbal. And I can still make videos like that, or half as good as that. That's what I'm going to do. Just checking it. We are sort of live. Just leave a comment if the stream's kind of working all right. I don't know if we're having playback issues, but it seems to be working at my end. Just trying it on my phone, it does seem to be working, but it's saying I've got some sort of issue. I doubt it. Hey, buddy, how we doing, mate? I love you, man, for checking in every time I do this and commenting regularly, and the support is very much appreciated. So just turn that up a little bit. I'm just gonna mess around with an edit that I'm working on. I don't know where you guys are at, where you're at with your edits. I am about halfway through September. So I've got 2 in September to deliver, 2 in October, and then I'm up to date as of last week. So I've got about 4.5 edits to do, I would say, and I've still got 7 weddings to shoot this year. So I'm kind of, although I'm mid-September, I've only got 4 edits to do. I'll get them out of the way and I'm fully up to date, but then I've got probably going to be editing right up to Christmas, to be honest, and then I've got a couple in the Christmas period that we'll have to wait till January, but it's starting to wind down now. It's starting to wind down. What about you guys? Where are you at in your journeys? How many weddings have you filmed this year? Have you got to film this year? Edit backlogs? If you've got any, I mean, I can try and offer some advice on like the sort of how to manage your editing backlog, because that is a stress that a lot of people deal with. It's a big source of stress, but I don't really have a massive issue with it these days. It's mostly because I offer, I give my couples 10 weeks, or I tell them 10 weeks to turnaround time before they'll get their film. And I make sure I'm clear on that in the weeks before the wedding. So obviously I tell them when they book initially if they ask, but that's like a year away, 18 months away. So I need to reiterate it again like the week before the wedding, on the evening of the wedding. Just, it's going to be about 10 weeks, and they're always fine with that. So that's plenty of time for me. Papa Bear, 10x for the answer. You're welcome, Papa Bear. Keep killing it. I will keep killing it. I look like a thumb sat like this. I'm staring up because I've got a monitor above me. Sorry for the unflattering angle. But I suppose you can see what I'm up to here. So I'm just layering up. I've got obviously my track down here. I've got a bit of speech there, a bit of an audio bite of a speech. I've got another bit that comes in here, and I've slotted these audio bites in order to fit around the song. So the song kind of starts to pick up at this part here. So I've just left that blank of like audio, story-based audio, and then when it starts to kick in properly and we're starting to get into the rhythm of the song, then I bring the speech back in, and then over the top I'm just layering up B-roll at, at intervals, leaving the odd gap here and there so that you can see the speeches. This is the start of the film. I don't know why that's moved there. That was supposed to be there. Do I get rid of that one? I'm not sure on that clip. Tell you what, these are just still images. That's a still image there, and I'm going to grab another still from this venue. This venue that this wedding was at is a swimming baths. It's like an old historical swimming baths in Manchester, and they now run events and weddings, and they do like pop-up cinemas and beer festivals and things like that. So it's just a hollowed out empty swimming pool, but it's so cool. It's full of character. Just got a couple of still frames of the venue that I'm just going to chuck in to sort of set the scene. I got a couple of questions. Justin, hey Justin, how long did it take you to go full time? I just shot my first 2 weddings, mate. Nice one. Good on you. It took me to go full time. It took me, let me think, about a year, I would say. So what happened was I was training to be a teacher, and I did a year at university training for my qualification. And during that year, I just around the time I started my degree, I had started filming weddings. And then I quickly knew that I wanted to have a go at it and started advertising, set up a business, just going to be like for when I wasn't teaching, because teaching you break up for the summer, and I would have had like a few weeks off to weddings, and it was just going to be like a side earner. But I quickly realised that I wanted to go into weddings and not be teaching. So I kind of got it going alongside training to be a teacher, which was a full-on year. It was a very busy year, but by the time I had finished my qualification in the May, I was supposed to start a job in the September, but that summer I got a few enough weddings to kind of promote myself, and the bookings started to come in, and it was at that point that it all started to come together, luckily, because it might not have done, but I started to get a good influx of inquiries, and managed to I did a couple of corporate jobs and things just to kind of keep the cash flow going, and I managed to get a bit of money coming in, enough to be like, because I lived at home still as well, so I didn't have much outgoings, and it was enough to kind of keep me going so that I didn't need to get an actual job and I could focus on this full time. Because as soon as you can focus all your attention on this as a business and you're not having to go to a day job, you your business will just go 10x because you're focusing all your time on it. And the second you've got more time to focus on it and you don't have to worry about a day job is the day that kind of you really start to propel yourself. So yeah, it took about a year. Sup, Adam, have you ever got a question from Couple to give them raw files? And if so, what is the answer? Yes, I do get asked about raw files all the time. Well, all the time. I offer raw footage. I make my couples aware that I can provide the raw footage every wedding pretty much. So occasionally I get asked. I've probably had about 6 to 8 couples buy raw footage this year, and I charge for it. And I don't do anything. I don't charge that much for it because I don't do anything fancy with it. I literally just give them the files on a USB stick, and they control through 300 files of B-roll. I've got one here, and it's just from the shop. It's just a regular USB. It's a 64 gig, and I've got a note on that because I need to put some footage on that to send out to a client. So yeah, I don't do anything fancy with it. The only thing I do is go back through all the footage and just spend an hour playing and watching all the B-roll clips. It takes me an hour to go through about 200-300 clips, and I just literally sit and flick through them all because I'm listening that I've not said anything inappropriate, or a guest hasn't said anything inappropriate that I think they're not going to appreciate hearing. Or I might have put my foot in it and just gone, because like you're filming and then a guest gets in your way and you just go, oh, for fuck's sake, and I kind of, an idiot, because I'm a grumpy Brit, and it's nothing against the person that I've just got annoyed at, but I don't, it's not professional, so I cut any of that stuff out, and it's worth an hour just to go through the files. But then I just send the raw files off. I've no problem with that. And you can charge them. And if they ask, I get asked occasionally why I'm charging, and it's like, well, it's time to go through it all, and it's intellectual property at the end of the day. It's my footage, and I don't if I want to give up the rights to it, I don't know where it's going to end up. It could be potentially on the internet somewhere giving me a bad name. So it's a bit of an incentive to, so if couples ask, I mean, you don't need to go into that detail, but if couples ask, you just say, well, it's a copyright thing. It's an intellectual property to give up the rights to it. I have to charge a fee. Yeah. Are you still mainly shooting on the 55mm 1.8? Yes, I am, Dan. I am loving the 55. Do I ever use APS code? Yes. I use it the weekend just gone to punch in. To be honest, because I'm so used to doing the 55mm focal length now, I kind of know where I need to be stood as soon as I put my camera to my eye. I know kind of where I need to be, and I'm that used to using it. But if I ever decide, and I kind of like the wider look now, if I picked up an 85 now, I'd be like, oh, that's too tight. So I use the 55. I prefer that look. But if I'm miles away and I can't get close to them during a ceremony, perhaps, or during speeches, and it would just be like too obtrusive of me to get closer, and then I need to be further away, then I might crop in. Yeah, I have no problem with doing that, and I don't notice any loss in quality or anything like that. I doubt it. I'm moving to another state, and I pretty much need to redo everything. Wowzers! Yeah, mate, I bet that's pretty stressful. I would, I mean, it's a weird one because I've moved areas in the UK, but like an hour from where I used to live. So state to state is a completely different matter. And I'm not sure. I'm wary and conscious that I'm giving advice to a country that I have no idea. Like I don't know the American market or um. But what would work over here and what I would do is um depending on how imminently you're moving, you can make plans to kind of try and get work over there. You might have to go back a little bit, one step back to make a couple of steps forward. You might have to drop your prices a little bit. But the first thing I would do is just find out local, do your research, local venues, local suppliers, photographers, try and you're basically building a new network. You know, drop into venues and just say, hi, I'm new to the area, I'm a videographer. I've been working out of this state for a number of years, and now we've moved, and I'm just looking to do work. So if you ever need any video, if you ever got any shoots or open days that you want filming, I'm happy to come along and do that for nothing. You're just rebuilding your network, and the same with photographers. Get in touch with people. That's the first thing that you can do. Obviously, you want to switch up your social media and your SEO kind of strategies. You want to be marketing to different areas now. And in your SEO, you're no longer, I don't know, Atlanta wedding videographer. You're now Arizona wedding video, or whichever state. So you want to be changing up your SEO. Assuming that you do all that sort of stuff, because I mean, we all should be. But I hope it doesn't hit you too hard. Yeah, I think you've got to kind of be prepared for maybe a little bit of a step back. But at the same time, don't worry if it does slow down. Just kind of ride it, and because you're probably still, if you've got a name in the state that you're currently in, when you move to the new state, it's not like you're just going to disappear off the map. From your reputation will carry, and you'll probably still be getting a lot of inquiries for your old state where you used to live. And if you're willing to travel back to get that work whilst you're getting yourself going, good luck, man. Good luck. Uh, where are we at next? Dude, thanks so much for staying your story. Justin, you are welcome. Thanks so much for sharing your story. That's just the start of the story. I've got loads more. Um, well, I say there's loads more to it, but I basically just fell into weddings, started shooting them, enjoyed them, stopped doing the day job, and went from there and kind of got lucky, I guess. Um, but you've got to put the work in, definitely. Um, but yeah, you're welcome. Do you still offer mentor sessions? Yes, I do. All the info's on my website, adamwingfilms.com/academy, I think. But there's a link to Academy. It's all on there. If you want a little one-to-one mentoring, but if not, there's always YouTube. I still sit here every month and every week, and I'm just a message away on Instagram. Help. I'm going to start with this shot here because that kind of sells the fact that it's a swimming pool more than the other one. I mean, these are just still grabs up here that I'm editing now. Still grab, and this is obviously it's just a still frame of some planks of wood, but I like the texture of it. I think it's really cool. Excuse me. Just had my tea. not sure that one is working. I might put that one in. Yeah. So when the music kicks in here, I'm going to have the text, then the couple's names come in at that point. We all do this. I don't know why we all put titles on. I always have my Adam Ring film. I always have the couple's name, but I suppose it's just what my couples are kind of used to and expect now. We all do it, don't we? I don't know. Where we at? Brian Joseph, how fast can you edit a wedding film? I mean, kind of watching me slowly tinker at one here, but obviously I'm not really concentrating because I'm waffling. So this is a lot slower than I'd normally work, but I can edit a film. So my 15 to 20-minute films, I can probably get one of them done in about 8 hours. I'd say about 8 to 10 hours for a 15 to 20-minute film. Some take longer. Some I could maybe bang out in 6 hours if I was really on the ball. But it's a full day, and then from that 15 to 20 minute, I'll make the shorter 5-minute film, and that probably takes about anywhere between half a day and a full day again. And although it's a much shorter film, it's a third, a quarter of the length. Because it's the highlight film, it's a lot more sort of finessed and curated and sort of story driven, if you will. It's not as chronological in terms of the order of it, so it's does take a bit more time per minute of film. So that's the full film is about a day, and the highlights anywhere between half a day and a day again. Back to the raw files. C3L. Don't you worry about what can happen with that footage. Some couples' friends could re-edit it. Yeah, I mean that's the thing. But the thing, if they've paid me and I've done them a film, and then they want to buy the raw footage, then afterwards, I suppose you're opening yourself up. They can do what they want with it. But no, I'm not bothered because I'm kind of incentivized. That's why we charge for it, right? Because they can have the raw footage, but it's going to come at a price, and I'm letting go of that creative freedom, and I've been incentivized by a few £100, you know. So that kind of the money is a nice cushion to the kind of creative control that I've lost. So no, I don't really worry about it too much. And if they could re-edit it, sure, but if anything, that'll just make them appreciate your film more because then their friends will re-edit something and it won't be as good. Hopefully, well, not it's likely not to be as good, and they'll be like, wow, appreciate how good Adam was and how well edited our film actually was. I think most of the couples that buy my raw footage just want it so that they can hear all the sound from that clip, because a lot of the time, a lot of these clips I'm working on up here, they're all muted. So there's chatter going on during the morning that you can't hear. Whereas if they buy the raw footage, then they get to hear all those sounds, mum's voice, grandma's voice, etc. And, a lot of the time they just like to have that. Can't seem to put a story together out of my footage and film. Brian, the main advice I would give on making a story or crafting a story is to use as much of the audio as possible. And we all get those weddings. I get those weddings where sometimes the speeches are rubbish and lacking, and you've not got much audio content to play with. We all get those, but and they're the tricky edits. But generally, if you've got three decent speeches and there's a minute or so that you can pull out of each one, and you've got a nice the couple's vows that you can always use in terms of audio, and you've got maybe a nice reading at the church or something like that, or the celebrant or the vicar, the registrar, the father, whoever's conducting the ceremony, maybe they've said something nice. The more of those audio bits you can pull out to underlay the song, the more the story comes together, because it's all these people talking about the couple, and they're kind of telling the story for you, and all you have to do is put the appropriate B-roll over the top. So the more audio and the more sound bites used from the day, the easier the story comes together. And I wouldn't put too much pressure on yourself, because at the end of the day, it's a wedding film. It's not like you're trying to create an original story. Like, all you're doing is documenting. The bride gets ready, the groom gets ready, they go to a church or a location, they get married, they go to somewhere else afterwards, they have a drink, they celebrate, they have some nice food, and they have dancing at the end of it. That's your story. It's a wedding day. There's a couple that have got married. Um, the underlying story that we all try and capture is the couples, their personalities, and their kind of how they met, and what makes them a couple, and what their love is all about. And that's where you get the real nice storytelling wedding films. But that should come out in the speeches, hopefully. Does that make sense? That's kind of what you're hoping for. As much of that, it, and it's knowing which bits of the speeches to use. You go in for like the end of the father of the bride speech, where he starts to do the nice bit about his daughter, or something about her growing up, or something about when she met her partner, and then the end of the groom speech where he gets onto the wife. Those are the bits you want. I'm going to move that along a little bit. Sorry for the silence. I'm just kind of getting stuck into this now. Uh, might move that along a little bit, actually. Move that along a bit. More bridal prep stuff. I'm going to cull through some of this and decide which bits I want, I think, because I'm not going to use all these clips. All of these are from the long film, the feature film. I need to just trim them down a bit. The speeches came out so bad. Yeah, so this is what I was saying, Brian. It's um yeah, sorry. This is what I was saying about when your speeches are lacking and when you've got those kind of weddings where the speeches aren't that great and it's really hard to make an edit from that. What you'll find is generally the as you move along in your you progress in your kind of business and your career, the better the weddings that you shoot and the more you're charging. Generally, you get the more kind of articulate, well-spoken kind of people. Generally speaking, I don't want to stereotype, but um, when you haven't got good audio and the speeches are really that bad or they're really short, just pull as much as you can from the ceremony. You've always got the vows, you've always got the ring exchange, you've always got the vicar or the person conducting the ceremony saying something, we've come together to witness these people getting married, or thanks for coming, or something along those lines. You've just got to pull as much from the ceremony as you can. And if you really don't have any audio, maybe grabbing the couple pre or post wedding and just saying, look, guys, I'd really love to include some of your story in the film. And I'd love to sit you down and kind of on camera ask how you met and kind of like a bit of an interview style kind of thing. And just, I'd love you to sort of tell me your story of how you met each other. And then you can put bits of that. I don't know if you've seen these kind of films where they do couple interviews like before the wedding or after the wedding of like, how did you meet and what are you looking forward to on the day, or something like that, and you can use that. But if you get your film back into the edit after the wedding and you feel like it's lacking, you could always ask them to do that, depending on what kind of couple they are. I've never done it, but it's an option. Paul, hi mate. Hi Adam, left field question. Which font do you use for your opening titles? Good question. Yeah. Hi Paul. Thanks for watching, mate. I appreciate it. Which font do I use for my opening titles? I think. Hold on. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I think it's called Bell MT. Yes, it's up here. Bell MT, which I think I just downloaded. Can't remember. I've had that ages. I think I downloaded it and imported it in from Google somewhere, Google Fonts or something. But it's called Bell MT. It's pretty similar to Didit or Didot, however you say that, but it's subtly different, and I kind of liked it. But Didit works just as well. I was using Didit, but there's a couple of my friends were using it, and someone else was like, "Oh, you're using the same font as me," so I was like, so I changed it, but it still looks the same. And you need to feed your hamster like it. Yeah, that's. I don't think that's your connection, Paul. I think that's mine. My friend is downstairs watching Netflix, and our internet isn't that great. Since I've moved house, we used to have fiber optics, and since I've moved, we don't have that anymore. So the internet speed is a bit lacking, and I am in. It's on my to-do list to kind of try and figure out or get some better Wi-Fi, but it doesn't help that we've got Netflix on downstairs and probably a million devices connected to the same network. It is annoying though, because I used to be able to upload my films in and now it takes hours. So yeah, sorry, Paul. I don't want that there. I just don't like. I don't know. I'm not. I can't get my juices going tonight. Dan, have you always used Final Cut or tried others? Premiere Pro? Not sure if you have one already, but a video on your editing workflow would be great. I've always used Final Cut Pro. I've never used Premiere. I've never really had a desire to use. So I've used Final Cut because I've always had Mac computers ever since I sort of went to uni, and I've been using Macs for years. And when I started getting into video editing just as a hobby, I was using iMovie just because it was on my Mac. So Final Cut was the next sort of logical step up. And now I know it kind of inside out, and it does everything I need it to. There was no reason to look into Premiere, to be honest. I think it probably is, if I got my head around it. There's probably plenty of features that are superior, but I don't need it. Final Cut's I'm completely happy with. So I don't use Premiere, but I'm happy to do an editing workflow type video. I've probably, if you scroll through my channel, I've got a playlist that's called editing or something. There's an editing videos or editing tutorials kind of playlist on my channel that's got some stuff in there that might be helpful. But if you've anything specific that you want covering, then I'm happy to do another video. But what I will say is, although I edit on Final Cut, a lot of the kind of techniques and things that I do are cross compatible. You'd be able to do this stuff in Premiere. I don't do anything fancy or anything Final Cut specific. What time is it? 1:45. Well, nearly 1:45. I'll probably stay on for another 20 minutes. We've got a steady flow of questions. This is good. I realise that the internet and the connection isn't too great, and I'm probably lagging quite a bit, and it's probably really frustrating. So I appreciate you kind of bearing with me on that. Let's see, which clips do I want rid of? I'll get rid of that one. Most of these are kind of okay clips, to be honest, but I'll get rid of that one. I'll get rid of that one. That one can stay in. That one can go. That can stay. That can go. That can go. Sorry. Cheers, buddy. You're welcome, Dan. No worries. Yeah, if there's definitely there's a playlist. I've done videos on certain editing things, multicam edits. I've done a couple of videos on editing a multicam, so like a multicam edit, so a ceremony from different angles, and how to edit that as fast as possible, because I can edit a ceremony, a full ceremony, and a full speeches video, like 3 speeches. I can edit those kind of multicam videos in about 10 minutes. So I've kind of done tutorials on how I edit those, and there's other bits and bobs. Hopefully you'll find something that will help. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Oh, nice silhouette shot. Do you know what I noticed at the weekend as well, because we're getting towards winter and it's getting darker. Everything was looking a bit grim and wintry at the weekend, which is kind of cool, but it's very moody. So I felt like every shot I was getting was like a silhouette shot or a kind of grim, moody shot. And I suppose it's just the time that kind of weather. But I was really, I got to the end of it, I was like, every shot I've got is like really dark and moody and kind of. But I suppose that's my style. I'm waffling. um, I felt like I'd done more moodiness than usual. Right, let's see where we're at with this. So actually, I'd forgotten, but I've just spotted her in this clip. The makeup artist that did this wedding. She, I don't know if she recommended me for this one, but I've worked with her a couple of times. And I worked with her the first time. We got chatting, we got on. She was like, "I'll follow your Instagram" and all the rest of it. And so I took her details, and after the wedding, made a point of sending her the film. And it was great to work with you. In case you're interested, here's the wedding film. And she loved it, and she recommends me like all the time ever since. So I don't know if she did get me this one in particular. She might have done, can't remember, but she recommends me pretty regularly, and it's all because I sent her a couple of films way back when, and she liked them, and she was like, "Do you mind me sharing these?" And nice little networking kind of win story for you there. Always, every wedding, every film that I put out, even if I don't share it online, I always send it to all the suppliers that were involved and just be like, the photographers or whatever. Thanks for your help on this wedding. Thought you might like to see the video. Bosh, send them a link. It's nice. It's nice. I always like to see the pictures from weddings that I've done. I like to look at the photographer's pictures, and so I just figure that they might like to look at the films, and it just gets a conversation going. And I need a bit more. Why is that? Need a bit more audio coming in there. I think around about here. And bring that bit in. So that can slot under there. I basically like in my timeline, I like to have put a placeholder in there, like a generator or whatever it's called, in the magnetic bit, and then I put the audio, the sound bites, and the song underneath that placeholder, and I put the B-roll above the placeholder, and it just separates it kind of. So, and it just means none of the clips are magneting. They're kind of, when I place them in place, they stay where I've put them. They don't move around because of the magnetic timeline. Just going to move that a couple of frames over because it just kicks in a little bit too late. Yeah, like that. Fine margins, eh? Most people, like, I do sometimes think I fuss over, like moving things a couple of frames. Does it make a difference? Probably not, but I get finicky about these things. Put those clips in there, so that's that morning part, and then we get to, I don't know, a few more clips, and then we eventually get to the guests arriving at the church and all that sort of stuff. YouTube videos are extremely helpful. Fine margins, eh? Most people, like, I do sometimes think I fuss over, like moving things a couple of frames. Does it make a difference? Probably not, but. Just checking my live stream on my phone. So some of you may be experiencing the screen freezing a fair bit, but you should still be able to hear me at least. So if you've got questions that you want to ask, comment. And although you can't, the screen looks frozen, I can you should still be able to hear me. I'm waffling away. Not there you go, Jericho. Not sure if it's my Wi-Fi, but the screen froze. It's dipping in and out. I think Jericho. I'm having. It was all right for the first sort of half an hour, but it's starting to play up a little bit. But I can see your comments and I'm answering. So if nothing else, just maybe put it on in the background and just listen to me waffle. So if you've got any questions, I'll answer them and you can hear them. You just probably can't really see what I'm doing, which is annoying because you want to be able to see what I'm doing. I think Adrian, me too. Yeah, sorry, mate. I think maybe next time I will try and find somewhere with better Wi-Fi to do this. What are we on now in November? So the next live stream will be December, beginning of December, and then that's it for the year. Wing on one of those. But I will try and get better Wi-Fi for next time. You can't really ever go wrong with the Father of the Bride speech. He always says something good. Do 55 minutes. Stream latency. What does this mean? It's gone quiet. Maybe I'm having issues with the. I'll keep waffling. Hope you're there. Hope you're listening. Just kind of edit to the beat a little bit. This track's got quite a. through that one, and this is the bit where I bring in sort of dad seeing her and etc. Got a bit of audio there from dad seeing her for the first time. I'm definitely bringing about that. Trying to keep my eye on timer. It's getting to 9 o'clock, guys. I'm going to be clocking off in a minute or two, or a couple of minutes. But before I go, this kind of live stream goes on the channel as ever, so you can kind of listen to it back or watch back if you kind of miss parts of it. This Friday coming, the next video that I'm putting on the channel is I've got a video coming this about a bit of a sort of website and SEO kind of related video. It's a bit of a little trick that you can do to increase traffic through to your website and kind of improve your Google ranking and your authority, which helps for your SEO and helps put your page further up the Google ranking. So that's kind of I've got a video sort of explaining a little bit about that on Friday. That's the next video. It's just a short one, just a quick little tip. It's going to be hopefully dead handy. So look out for that on Friday. I've got a wedding to shoot this Saturday. And if you guys are out filming this weekend or you're just stuck in the edit, I wish you well. Keep hustling. It's nearly Christmas. It's officially bonfire night was yesterday in the UK. Guy Fawkes night, so it's officially like the next thing is Christmas now. So I'm getting excited. I'm a bit of a Christmas nut, so I'm excited about that. But get in there, guys. It's nearly the end of the season. Good luck with wherever you are this weekend. If you're shooting, like I say, look out for that video on Friday. As ever, thanks for the support. Keep engaging, keep commenting. I'm always here on Instagram and in the comments if you need anything. Hopefully speak to you soon. Thanks for watching. Eyes are gonna clock off. I'd have to take care, man. You too. Yeah, cheers, guys.